What is up, YouTube? So in this video, I'm gonna break down how you can make in just 30 minutes a day, $100 profit sports betting on a daily basis or $3,000 every single month. And I know you may be thinking like, dude, you do not bet on sports for 30 minutes daily. I saw you live streaming yesterday for like 2 hours. And that's true. I mean, at this point, I bet on sports a lot. I give out basically all my picks 100% for free on social media. I'm always live streaming. You can follow me on Twitch. But when I started sports betting about 6 years ago, I started to take my gambling extremely seriously. And when I started betting, I would get home from work. I didn't have a lot of time. I had a 9-to-5 job. I had to commute to work. I typically was only spending like 30 minutes, maybe a little longer on a daily basis, and I was still able to pull pretty easily $100 profit every day. So the point of this video is if you have a full-time job, if you don't have a ton of time to bet on sports, is to help you prioritize. How should you manage your time? There's a ton of videos that explain strategies that make money, but for anybody who doesn't have a ton of time, you have kids, you have a full-time job, I'm gonna give you the playbook to make $100 profit daily. So the first thing you wanna do is you need to have multiple sports books, right? The first component of making $100 profit daily is taking advantage of the no-brainer promos. So all of these sports books, DraftKings, FanDuel, PrizePicks, they're all in ruthless competition for new customers. So all these books run promos. When it's Thursday night football, DraftKings wants you to go to DraftKings. They don't want you to go to FanDuel. That's their main competitor. So for example, today on DraftKings Pick 6, which is a site that's available in most states, they had a free square on Tua. Tua throws 1 yard, your bet wins. Obviously, Tua's gonna throw 1 yard. That's basically free money. PrizePicks had a bunch of discounts, including a free square for the Chiefs game, Sunday Night Football against the Giants. So long story short, if you use these different books, and this is what I did when I started gambling, is I would get home from work and I would open up all the different books I used, FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, and I would just look for the no-brainer promos. And it really, if you keep track, if you use every book available in your state, most of these books have lucrative sign-up bonuses, deposit matches, stuff like that as well, you'll see that even just in terms of these daily promos, you should pretty easily be able to pull $100 profit. This DraftKings play is literally a free win. So before you do anything, you don't need any software, you don't need to spend any money. Go to every sportsbook, look for the no-brainer promos, and take advantage of them. Obviously, there are some strategies that you can use to essentially take these promos, maximize the profit, or convert them into risk-free cash, which I'll get into. But again, if you're using 10 different books legal in your state, you never have to place a regular PrizePicks play. You can literally sign up for these books and solely bet the promos that are insanely lucrative. And again, some of them are free money, like this play on Sean O'Malley to have one significant strike. That's literally a free win. Granted, it only has a max bet size of $10, but still, it's free money and it takes 2 seconds to lock these plays in and it adds up. Every single day you're looking at all these different books, the profit really starts to stack up. So I'm gonna go a little deeper into promos, but if you spend, let's say, the first 15 minutes of your day, once you start gambling, just checking through the books for these insane value odds boosts, profit boosts, discounts, free squares, you're gonna be able to pull a lot more profit from sports betting. So promo conversion, taking advantage of these profitable promos, it's kind of like credit card hacking, right? You have no intention of using that credit card and being super loyal to it. You just wanna maximize their sign-up offer, hit the requirements, and get the points, right? Sportsbooks run these promos because they know 97% of sports bettors lose money long term, so they hand out some free money. They try to get people on their book, dedicated to their book, the degenerates, who they know are gonna lose a ton of money over the course of the year. So I'll give you an example of a promo play for tonight. So FanDuel had a 50% profit boost on Thursday Night Football, Bills-Dolphins. And if you go to the OddsJam promo converter, which is a betting tool on OddsJam, it's just a data-driven software. If you use FanDuel and DraftKings, what OddsJam tells you is, hey, you can convert this promo on FanDuel into a risk-free profit of $8 through hedging. So what this promo converter tells you is if you bet on the Dolphins under 13.5 points, it's initially plus 250 on FanDuel, but after adding in the profit boost, it becomes plus 375. For most people, you can bet $25 on these FanDuel promos. So you're betting $25 on FanDuel at plus 375 odds, and OddsJam tells you if you hedge against DraftKings, a 50% boost is a lot, and you bet the Dolphins over 13.5 points at minus 258, you're gonna make a risk-free profit of about $8. Again, it may not seem like a lot, but you do this for every buck, this play. It's literally a couple button clicks. OddsJam has one-click bet that takes you right to the wager on a sports book. So, locking in these bets, it doesn't take that long, just a minute or so. So if you bet $25 on FanDuel, OddsJam tells you bet $85 on DraftKings, and you're gonna make a risk-free profit. And I'll go through the math very briefly. Let's say the Dolphins do go under. They have 13.5, or they have 13 or less points. On FanDuel, your bet's gonna win. You're gonna win $93.75 in profit. You're gonna lose $85 on DraftKings, so you're up $875, right? That's the first outcome. They're either gonna go over or under. On the other hand, if they go over, you lose your $25 on FanDuel, what you put on the promo play. On DraftKings, you're gonna win 85 times 100 over 258. You're gonna win $32.95, so you are going to be up $7.95 profit, right? Regardless of what happens, you're making about $8 for just clicking a couple buttons. So this is just one book, one promo. But again, when I used to get home from work, I would do this over and over and over again, 10 different times. I would make $100, and then I would move on with the rest of my night. But what I want to get into next is, after betting promos, how should you be spending your time to try to make as much money as possible, $100 a day or more in just 30 minutes? And obviously, I do want to make this clear. Some states are better than others for sports betting, right? Like, I'm in Virginia. Virginia's great. We have tons of sports books, but I've lived tons of different places as a sports bettor. Pennsylvania, Arizona, New York. So I've lived all these different places. Some states are better than others, but regardless, the point holds. You guaranteed can make some pretty good money in just 30 minutes a day on promos, as well as some other strategies we're going to discuss. So it may sound like a pain to sign up and use a bunch of different sports books, but it's not. First of all, most of these books take just a couple minutes to sign up for. But also, most books offer very lucrative sign-up bonuses, right? When you first register, they give you the best bonus of all, free money. For example, Onyx Odds, which is a new book, legal in basically every state. They have a deposit 10 and bet $10. They give you $100 for free. I mean, that is literally a free $100. Like, that's the easiest money you're gonna make sports betting. Even if you have no intention of gambling long term, you should take advantage of that promo. It's a free $100 and all these books do it. But again, you're gonna need multiple books. Like, that really is the core of profitable sports betting. So just as an example, let's say you use only one sports book, FanDuel, and you wanna bet on the Jaguars. If you're betting the Jaguars on FanDuel at minus 130 when another book in your state, Novig, is giving you minus 117, you're gonna get crushed. Don't even bother ever gambling. You're gonna lose a ton of money, right? That is like buying a stock at 117 or $130 when you can get it somewhere else at $117. You will never be a profitable trader. And it's the same thing in sports betting. The market is so fragmented or inefficient with all of these books setting their own unique prices, their own unique odds. But the next strategy that you can do in just a little bit of time a day is called arbitrage betting. So arbitrage is a risk-free strategy. The profit boost I just took you through, we actually used the profit boost to work in to an arbitrage bet. right? Like, we're making money no matter what. We use the profit boost on FanDuel, we hedge on DraftKings, we're making a guaranteed profit of $8. So that happens without promos. It's called arbitrage. So basically, when two sports books get super out of sync, you can bet equal and opposite outcomes to guarantee a risk-free profit. Some arbitrage bets are more lucrative than others. Some make $50 risk-free, some 20, some 5, some 10. Who cares? It's all free money. So you may be like, well, this sounds really complicated. I need all these sports books. You know, I got to put in all this time to find the arbitrage bets, but it's really not that complicated. Again, OddsJam, which has an arbitrage tool. First of all, you can set up notifications. So you are immediately notified with a push notification whenever there's a great arbitrage opportunity in your state with the books you use. So when OddsJam gives you a notification, you know, if you're at lunch during work, you pull up OddsJam, you see a notification, you use one-click bet. I showed one-click bet earlier, but that takes you right to the wager on a sports book, and you can lock in these arbitrage bets and just make risk-free money. So I'll give you an example of how to use OddsJam and how easily and quickly you can lock in these risk-free profit arbitrage bets. Arbitrage is how I started sports betting, made my first $40,000, and I truly think it's the best strategy for most bettors to start with. All the pros and sharps use arbitrage betting, and what's amazing about it is, again, it's risk-free money. It is guaranteed profits. You literally will not lose if you're doing it correctly. So let me take you through an example, because again, when I started sports betting, I started out with arbitrage. It was an amazing strategy to start with. It grew my confidence that, hey, you know, these sports books, they're not that smart. I can beat them on promos, I can beat them in a risk-free way with arbitrage, and from there, I started to add in other strategies like positive EV betting and all these other things that I talk about on live streams and stuff like that. So let's get into an example of arbitrage, and then we can move on. So here you can see the OddsJam arbitrage tool, again, where you can make risk-free profits. It may look a little overwhelming, to be honest, but it's pretty simple. You just put in the books you use, and then you literally just follow the calculator. So here's the first arbitrage bet available. I've bet this actually a couple times now because it's literally free money. But you can see Packers minus 7.5 is plus 108. It's plus 108 on Novig and minus 128 on Onyx odds, which is, these are both books that are legal in nearly every state. On Novig, you can actually see the total amount you could play, which in this case, it's called the liquidity, would be $9,100. So you could technically arbitrage bet this and make 131, or I guess, $133 in risk-free profit. But obviously you need a massive bankroll to do this. So on Onyx odds, I bet a, pretty normal bet size, $1,150 on the Browns plus 7.5 at minus 105 odds. So then all I have to do is go over to Novig, and I'll show you how quickly I can lock this in. Here's NFL already. It's the Packers game. That's the liquidity, how much you can bet, up to $9,000. So I just bet 107.9. Sometimes when I'm, making a video, it just messes with my geolocation. So if I just disconnect my phone quick, I lock this in. It should work now. And here you can see, I already got an arbitrage bet locked in. The second this game ends on Sunday, it's currently Thursday, so I'm tying up about $2,000 in capital for a risk-free profit of $1,580 come Saturday, right? So this isn't the juiciest arbitrage bet. It's not the most profitable, but literally you saw how quickly, in quite literally 20 seconds, I was able to make a risk-free profit of $1,580. Here's the same play on DraftKings, but I already bet it for my max allowed on DraftKings, so I unfortunately don't think they're going to take any more money on it. But again, sometimes the arbitrage bets are lucrative, sometimes they're not. It really depends on the day, what sportsbooks you use. But again, even in just 15 minutes a day, if you set up notifications, you'll really easily be able to pull in profits. Between promos and just using the arbitrage tool, again, most of these books, here's another one, between FanDuel and Onyx odds, I could do it, or FanDuel and DraftKings, because these books have the same prices. Like, it is super easy to use and lock these plays in. You just hit the bet button on OddsJam. It literally puts the wager right here, and then you can just bet the max, you're allowed to do, which for me on FanDuel is 132.50. I have a max limited FanDuel account because I've made too much money on them. But basically, if you just take advantage of the no-brainer promos, and then you also take advantage of arbitrage bets, the juicy ones, you set up notifications on OddsJam and use one-click bet, you very easily will be able to make $100 profit daily in basically a risk-free way. You can hedge all of those sportsbook promos like we went through with the FanDuel play to convert the promos into a guaranteed profit. And then arbitrage betting is literally risk-free money, right? If you're doing it correctly, like this arbitrage bet I just got locked in on the Packers-Browns game, it's free money. There's no way to lose, right? All you're doing is tying up money. Granted, it's only Thursday. I'm tying up my money for a little longer than I'd like to. Usually, you're betting on arbitrage bets that day or right before the game starts, so you're getting daily compounding. You're basically loaning the books money for a risk-free profit. But you can do this every single day. Some times of year are better than others. NBA, NFL, obviously a better time of year to be sports betting, period, if you're a profitable bettor compared to MLB season. But regardless, that's kind of how I personally would dedicate 30 minutes a day to making money off the books. And, I truly believe anybody, regardless of where you're located, you can make $100 every single day doing this.